When we are attached, what we do is we create resistance. And when it comes to being magnetic, the more resistance we have, the more we repel what we want from coming into our lives. The more resistance we have, the more we close down our own energy, and the more we are then likely to stay attached to something that doesn't actually serve us in a positive way. This is why some people may attract toxic patterns over and over again, maybe people that aren't emotionally invested in them over and over again. This has to do with manifesting from a lower vibrational state of consciousness. Now, the key and the most powerful thing you can do to elevate your frequency, to raise your vibration, is to let go of attachment. When you let go of attachment, it immediately raises your sense of how you feel. And not only that, people can feel when you aren't attached to what they're doing. It makes you more attractive. So when you aren't giving and projecting energy at someone else, it then pulls them in. When you project your energy at someone else, they then are repelled and they walk away. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 ways to manifest love from a higher level of consciousness that will make this process much easier than it's ever been before. And it will explain why maybe you feel stuck, you feel blocked in old patterns of energy. Now, the other thing I'm going to be doing is something a little bit newer. I have literally on my screen right here, I have another screen which is full of a whole bunch of Instagram questions around this topic. So I went on Instagram. You can follow me at AaronDowdy44. What I did is I said, this is my topic for tomorrow. Ask any questions you have. And I'm going to be going over those of your top questions that were asked to help you to manifest from a higher level of consciousness. So it's also related to this. The other thing I'm going to be doing is going through some articles on this and showing you what's I think is true, what is not true, what is manipulation when it comes to attracting love, and we're going to go all over that. Now, let me first off preface this by showing a little bit of my own credibility in this field, because I went through this in my own painful way, where I would, like 3 to 5 years ago, I was watching videos on like how to pick up chicks, right? And it was like some of it was rooted in some healthy principles, but then there's also some unhealthy principles. And some of it has to do with like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, with like coming from a higher frame and looking a certain way and making other people feel a certain way so it elevates your status, you know. And it's not healthy. But what I'm going to be sharing with you is like how I overcame my own level of feeling not worthy, feeling not attractive, and why I was like in this little box for a long time. And also one of the most challenging things I've been through is going through either, you know, like letting go of an ex, how challenging that was and how that completely transformed my energy and how I learned from that and then was able to attract my girlfriend. So I've been through this process. I know what it's like to manifest from a lower vibrational, manipulative state of consciousness. And I know, and honestly, I found out a lot of that just didn't work, or it was very resistant and not enjoyable. And then from a higher level of consciousness, it was not attached to outcome. It was way more effortless. It was way more in the moment. And it was so much easier when I learned it. And that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. So the first thing and the first way to manifest from a high level of vibration is understanding that all you really have to do for this whole entire process is let go of attachment. Let go of attachment. Let go of your attachment to wanting someone to like you. Let go of your attachment of wanting someone to give you validation. Let go of your attachment to the outcome. Let go of your attachment to an ex. This is probably one of the most important things. Now think about it. When you're maybe like imagine a dog with a bone in its mouth. Not that I'm calling you a dog or anything like that, but if you have a bone in your mouth and then you want another bone, but there's a bone in your mouth because you haven't let go of that bone, you can't put that other bone in your mouth because you're preoccupied. You don't have space for it. And it's the same way if you have a closet that's full of clothes and you want new clothes, but there's no place to put the clothes. You have to let go of the old clothes that you haven't worn in forever, that you're probably never going to wear again, and then you make room for something else. And the way the universe works is you must first let go and say no to an old energy pattern before you can then say yes to some new pattern for it to come into your life. For me in my own life, I had an attachment to a past relationship for like 2 years where me and this person are still great friends, but back then we were both like attached, but at the same time not together. And for like 2 years we were in this limbo mode. And what eventually I realized is that my biggest block to attracting love was that there was no energetic space or no energetic room for it because I was emotionally and energetically still attached to this person from the past. And the first thing I had to do is I had to become aware of this pattern. The next thing that I had to do is once I was aware that there was an attachment there, I had to start to get honest with myself in certain ways. I could see that this pattern was also something, because in this pattern, there was a sensation or a feeling of me being in a way more needy. And of course, needy energy repels. But at the same time, there was a feeling or a story going on that I'm not being chosen. And I can see that if I look back to my childhood, there was a similar energy dynamic going on where I felt like I wasn't chosen. And the reason I say that is because my brother was born when I was 3 or 4 years old, and he had a whole bunch of like health complications. He had asthma and stuff. And when he was born, the attention all shifted to him. And then I was kind of in the background. And I realized this like when I was really pondering on it. And growing up as well, I had this pattern where I like wouldn't want to shine. I wouldn't want to take the attention away from my brother. Maybe it was because I felt like it was taken from me. So like I didn't want someone else to feel that way because I was really empathic. But what ended up happening is I felt like maybe I don't matter. And what I had to realize was there was a story that like I'm not being chosen. And it's a worthiness thing. And many of us may have a worthiness block where we feel either emotionally abandoned growing up or not worthy growing up. And therefore we find somebody that has a certain trauma as well to where we're able to play out a pattern where they're not choosing and then you are, and then maybe you're repelling with your own energy. So it becomes this like cat and mouse game. But one of the things I had to do is I had to realize that this wasn't necessarily just about that of the past. It wasn't just about that of the relationship. It was also the relationship with the parents from back in the day. This goes deeper. It goes down to childhood. As the thing is many times we will be attracted and addicted to similar energy dynamics that were around when we were growing up. So you might find yourself, if you're with an emotionally unavailable person, maybe there's an emotionally available person growing up. If you find that you're emotionally available, maybe it's switched around. You know what I mean? If you find somebody that gaslights you, maybe you had someone gaslighting you growing up. And there's a weird part of that that feels familiar, which is kind of a twisted, crazy thing. So first off, that's what you need to do, like even to start this process, like to manifest from a high vibration. And if I were to also put this scale of consciousness right here, and you see the scale of consciousness, it says, shame, fear, guilt, anger, neutrality. And then it says, reasoning, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. This scale of consciousness right here, what you'll notice is that wanting and desire is at a lower vibrational state because anything we want, we vibrationally lack. It means we're attached to the outcome. It means we're doing things because of what it'll get us. If we're going on a date and we want that person to like us or we want it to go well, they can feel that. It's trying to control the outcome. There's a neediness, a desire there that is constricting the process. There's some things in life, many things in life you can't control. One of them is love. You cannot control love or attraction. So the best thing to do is to be aware of that vibration where it says desire and even anger, even fear. A lot of these lower vibrational emotions, the way you're going to move through them is you're just simply going to let them go. Let the thoughts go as they come up. But what you really do is you let go of the meaning and the stories that are tied up in those that say, I'm not worthy, I'm not being chosen, I feel stuck. Whatever the stories are, because as you see at the level 400 of reasoning is the meaning we give to things. Nothing in life has any built-in meaning other than the meaning we give it. You could go up to a guy or girl, or non-binary, whatever age we're in, and you could go up to somebody and you could say, yo, I'm attracted to you. And they could reject you. They could say, well, sorry, I'm not attracted to you. And the thing is that happening, you could give that a negative meaning. You could say, oh my God, it's because I'm not worthy, I'm not attractive enough, blah, 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 blah. Or you could look at that and say, oh, that just isn't my person. Maybe they just aren't my type. You know, the meaning we give to things is fundamentally neutral. Now, a lot of times when we're manifesting from a lower vibration energy and we're feeling not magnetic, it's because we're attached to outcome and we're given a lot of meaning to what the hell other people think about us. So the key is to let go of the meaning. Everything in life is neutral. If someone fires you, you could say, oh, it means I'm not worthy, all this stuff. Maybe you could say, I'm not even passionate about this job. I'm going to go do something else. The meaning you give it will be what you get out of it. Okay, there's this quote I found on just a random article. I just kind of go for these videos. Let me know if you guys like this kind of style. I just kind of go online and I find these little articles and stuff like that and read quotes and see what's toxic, what's not toxic, blah, blah, blah. But there's a good quote I like here. It says, attraction is a mashup of looks, sexual desire, hormones, emotions, proximity, reciprocity, and need. But the biggest trouble maker is our tendency to seek out what is familiar to us in love, an environment, person, or voice that echoes our past. Wow. See, this is sometimes the problem. Many times is the problem. We are finding similar patterns that remind us of childhood dynamics. You know, many of you know my story, but from 7 to 15, the whole ex-stepmom thing, I had a narcissistic ex-stepmom in my life. My dad divorced her when I was 15 years old. After my ex-stepmom left, I was attracted to women that were jealous and controlling because it felt familiar, as crazy as that sounds. And that was my pattern loop. And I kept attracting it until I became aware of it. And I decided to let that go. Honestly, what I had to do too is I had to forgive my ex-stepmom because I realized I had so much like a story, like why did this happen? I didn't really have a childhood, stuff like that. But what I eventually did is I had to forgive her, and I realized that she was abused by her dad. Her dad is a narcissist. So like I was able to understand her more. Didn't make it right, but it did help me to let go of the old meaning. Because if that old meaning and that old story is on autopilot, you will continue to attract similar people in that like that. Honestly, it wasn't even just love. I attracted managers that were narcissistic like my ex-stepmom. And then when I forgave my ex-stepmom, within 2 weeks, that manager got fired. And it took us like years to try to get her fired. She got fired for something stupid too. Anyways, don't want to get too off. I know I told that story a bajillion times on my YouTube channel, so I'll spare you the details. So the first one is about that, about letting go of the ex. It's one of the most powerful things you can do. Now, I'm going to move on to the second one in a minute. But first, let me answer a question. Okay, here's a question. It says, when your SP is hanging on to old beliefs and you're not, what do you do? Now, first off, SP in the law of attraction community stands for a specific person, not a general person, not one of your friends, like a couple people you might be dating, but a specific person. A specific person implies this energy disease. You want to know what it's called? It's called one-itis. One-itis. It's like ice. No, I don't want. Okay, it's like one-itis. So one-itis is when you put someone on a pedestal, you really want it to work out with them, you think about them a lot, and it's all about them. So my guess is this person, no, I'm not going to say the name or anything, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, but what your story might be, because your focus is on when you're a specific person, I was hanging on to old beliefs and you're not, what do? There's probably going to be a story there. That story is going to say, you haven't figured your stuff out, but I have. And the other story is, you need to be acting a certain way, or, I want you to be different so that I can then get what I want, which is love, support, validation, or whatever. So what I would suggest you do is you go back to step one, which is completely let go. If you let go, the energy becomes free, and your best chance at ever attracting somebody else into your life from your past is by completely letting go and being in your own frame. And they'll feel that you're then in your own frame. So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to focus on. So that's the answer to that question. Okay, all throughout this live, this thing right here, this video, I'm gonna bounce back and forth between these different things. Now, okay, the second way to manifest from a higher level of vibration to being magnetic AF is very simple. Have more fun and stop making attracting love so damn serial. Okay? The more serial attracting love is, the more heavy it is and the more resistance it is. And I'm here to tell you that if you go out and you are interacting with other people and you are loose and having fun, you will be more attractive because you're not taking life so seriously. Now, let's just take this a little bit deeper. Let's get a little weird and metaphysical with an esoteric, okay? Reality, we are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences. When we come to this life, we forget who we are. We go through life experience. Many of us go through a lot of pressure and crazy shit so that we can then remember who we are. And life is but this dream. It's this form of a virtual reality we live in where we are eternal spiritual beings dreaming this is who we are. And imagine that in this virtual reality that we're meant to actually enjoy. We're meant to enjoy life. We're meant to enjoy the beautiful food that we have, not get lost in it, but enjoy it. We're meant to enjoy a company with each other. We're meant to enjoy physical connection with each other. We're meant to enjoy these things. But sometimes what happens is people put it so much on a pedestal and they make it so serious that it's like, it's not fun. You ever have someone you're playing a game with and they get so serious, like maybe you're playing basketball with someone and you're having fun. You're enjoying the process. And then all of a sudden they get all serious. I had a buddy that I was playing with a while ago. This is kind of funny actually, but no names or anything, but I was playing pickleball with a friend. And I was playing pickleball and we played to 11. And it was fun. And I won. And it was my first time ever playing pickleball too, which I think was like a hit to his ego. But then what happened is he said, no, let's go to 20. And he got all serious about it. And I was kind of like, now the energy's changed here. I ended up playing him to 20. And then he played with his girlfriend. And then it was 2 versus me. And I still won at 20, and they were like seasoned fucking pickleball players. Now, the funny thing is that they were having like relationship stuff, so they were like arguing with each other, and like their communication wasn't so great. And then when it was me, it was just me, and I was like running around like a madman, but I was winning. This is a whole side note right here. I know this has nothing to do with it, but nonetheless, the reason I say that is it got so damn serious. And when it got serious, the vibe changed. But nonetheless, I feel very compelled to share with you that I still won that game, okay? I wasn't attached to the outcome. You know, it's funny, when you're playing certain games too, you'll realize that if you're attached to the outcome, it changes the energy. But if you play to have fun, it's very different. You look at like UFC fighters even. It's hard to imagine, but some people, they love fighting. They're passionate about it. It's a sport to them. We look at Kobe Bryant and some of the other people that are amazing basketball players. They love playing because it was an end of itself. When you're going on a date, enjoy the freaking date. Don't be attached to outcome. When you're having fun, you're in the moment. When I used to work that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, I would go into work every day, and if I went in really serious, I need to sell $8,000 of shoes today, or I'm not going to feel good about myself. And then every customer I'm helping, it's like they're like a number to me. Are you going to buy or not? And if I went in though, and I wasn't attached to that, and I was just having fun, sometimes I would like poke around with customers and just like get them laughing and stuff, even not about anything to do with shoes. But guess what? They many times were more likely to buy. Or in the same way, if you have fun with someone you're going out with, if you have fun in the dating process, if you have fun if you're on like you're talking to someone on social media or Bumble or whatever you do, it's going to go way better than if you're doing it because you want their validation, you want them to like you, and you want that payoff. So that's the second one. That makes everything different when you begin to look at that. Now, there's another article that I'm looking at online. And some of these articles are good, by the way. They're not like, I was hoping to find these articles that were like, this is how you manipulate people into liking you, And sometimes it is. It's like, say things that get them attracted to you. Don't give away too much of your personality. But these are, actually, some of these are pretty good, I've been looking at some of these to see how I resonate with them. This one says 5 ways to create magnetic attraction, inner confidence, the first one. Second one, a calm and peaceful state of mind. So like being present to the moment, kind of like, and sometimes a calm and peaceful mind, I'd say yes, but like being calm can be very attractive, but also doesn't mean you can't have more energy. A comfort with sexuality is the third one. I'd say that is very true. A lot of us may carry some level of sexual shame or sexual, like when I was going through my transformation over the last couple of years, I was what is called a traditional nice guy. It's like my dad is a nice guy, and his dad's dad was a nice guy, and it's just this nice guy ancestral. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Grandpa. But being a nice guy means like you want people's validation, approval. You're not really being your true self. You're not saying what's really on your mind. You have trouble setting boundaries. And one of the things nice guys and people pleasers have trouble doing is showing sexual desire. Showing like, hey, I'm attracted to you. Not as friends. I'm attracted to you sexually. And back in the day, I would have it'd be so challenging for me when I was dating someone to show that sexual intent, because I was afraid of rejection, really is what it was. I didn't want to get rejected. I had this one thing that happened when I was 12 or 13 years old where I went to this Parks and Recs place and I was there for the summer. And at the end of the 3 months of summer, I then go on there was this dance and I was 13 years old. So I was old enough to go to it. So I was 12 or 13. I go to this dance and there was an 18-year-old teacher there that I thought was attractive. And I go up to her and I say, hey, do you want to dance? And she said, no. She said, you're ugly. No, she didn't say that. She said no. And she said, oh, that's so cute or something. She paired me with somebody I didn't want to be with. It's like someone else my age, but I was kind of like, oh, this is weird. And I was dancing with this chick I didn't really want to dance with. I was like, why did this 18-year-old chick want to dance with me? I'm 12. But here's what I realized. I had some motherfucking balls back in the day. I reframed that. Instead of seeing it as this negative thing that's like, see, you put out your sexual desire, you got rejected. It's like, no, I've had balls since I was 12. Since I was born, but you know what I mean. Metaphorically, since I was 12. So being comfortable with your sexuality is key. Now, I'll also say that with my girlfriend, when I met her, she came to Sedona, and when I met her, we'd already been talking on Instagram for 2 years. Because we're both we're both influencers and stuff. I made it very clear to her that I was not just interested in being friends with her. I wasn't like, hey, you want to be friends and talk about the Pleiadian star system and 5D levels of consciousness? You want to talk about kombucha and crystals? You want to go, no, it wasn't that. It's like, do you want to talk about that stuff? But also, I'm sexually attracted to you. It wasn't that forward. But I was very putting out the signs and the intention from the very beginning. And she really appreciated that. And it was very masculine. And it was very good for our sexual polarity. We have very good polarity because of that. So it does require being vulnerable, though, and stepping into a part of you that is okay even if you do get rejected. I've had times, by the way, where I do get rejected. There's times with girls I was dating in the past where I didn't express sexual intent for a while, and then I go to express oh, I'm going in for the kiss, and then I get straight up rejected. That's happened to me before too. It's not the coolest thing to talk about, but the reason I say that is because I wasn't owning myself and I wasn't comfortable with my own sexuality, and I waited so freaking long to actually share what was authentic for me. So I would agree with this. Comfort with sexuality is very important. So let's go back to the list, and then I'm going to answer another question. So the third way to manifest using the law of attraction, or to manifest from a higher level of vibration, is letting go of the payoff you get from the emotional unavailability and the toxic energy. Now, what I mean by this is some of us are emotionally addicted to the dopamine of an inconsistent partner, in the newness of a new relationship. And what you might find out is that even though you're attracted to that and you get very high, it then is followed by a very big low. And what you want to do is you want to become aware of the familiarity that you might be feeling from the childhood dynamics. We've already talked a little bit about that, but just in general, it's very important to become aware of the payoff. So a payoff is something that we do to get something else. It's something we do with some type of payoff that keeps us doing it. Like if you eat a big sugary bowl of cereal, if you're eating Captain Toast Crunch, some CTC, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Yeah, I don't eat drink a lot. I don't eat a lot of cereal now. It's been a while, but I used to, back in the day, I'd eat some CTC, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You get Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you eat that. You're being bombarded with multiple 20, 30 grams of sugar because nobody eats just one serving. You eat 2, 3 servings. You're getting all this sugar rush, and you're getting this payoff of feeling high. And then, of course, it drops, and you feel like crap because you crashed in some sugar crash. Now, the payoff, though, is that you feel high for a couple minutes. Anything we do is because there's some form of payoff there that keeps us doing it. When I was addicted to making videos every single day on YouTube, you want to know what I got as payoff? I got like validation from people that like my videos, that told me really nice things. They're like, oh, Aaron, awesome, this video is great. And so there's always a payoff there. And a lot of times the biggest payoff is you want to be right. So it's like there'd be really dark payoffs. Like the payoff of me attracting somebody that was like my ex-stepmom was the payoff of the familiar energy of like feeling right about the fact that everyone's trying to control me. That sounds kind of crazy, but is a very important thing to become aware of. So you want to let go of the payoff. So to let go is really easy. You become aware of it and you make the choice to let go. Letting go is just a choice. The thing is sometimes people don't really want to make the choice because they're really addicted to the dopamine. All this is awareness, and it's the choice to let go. That's it. That's 90% of transformation is awareness. Becoming aware of the payoff, becoming aware of why you should let go, and then making a new choice. That's it. It's actually very easy. Now, that's what you want to become aware of. Now, let's go back to another question that is in here. So, let's see. I have a whole bunch of questions in here. There's a lot of them. Eventually, I was thinking of doing these, by the way, on YouTube and doing these live. I'm getting tired of like making videos. This goes into edit, production and stuff, and then it comes out like, 3 weeks later. What would you think if I just went live and did this and then answered the questions that were coming up instead of answering them on Instagram? If you would like that, like this video and comment below and let me know, and I'll go based off that. Let's see. I have, what's the difference between the vibration of letting go and the vibration of giving up? Good question. So the vibration of letting go is a choice that you make that is based on that something isn't good for you and knowing that it's something that's going to bring you higher. So like think of it like a bob in the ocean. You don't have to push, as an Abraham Hicks analogy. I didn't create this analogy, and probably neither did Abraham Hicks, but there's a bob on the ocean. You push it down. How does that raise back up in vibration? You just let go of the pressure that you're giving it, and it will naturally go up. That's how your vibration works. Your vibration is naturally high. The thing is that the difference between giving up and letting go is not much. Honestly, I can't really think of the difference. Like, I guess just giving up has a negative connotation. If you're going to give up the meaning of something that's not serving you, it's the same as letting go of something. If you're having trouble giving up, it's because your vision probably has this thing in it, and you feel like you're giving up a part of yourself, you're giving up part of your vision, and you don't want to give up. It's like, should I just keep going? Should I keep forcing it to work? Should I keep trying? But really, if you're having trouble giving up, I think the key is letting go of outcome. So it's like you're giving up, but you're still attached to outcome. So what I would say is let go of the outcome, give up the old meaning, and then focus on yourself. I think a lot of times, a lot of these questions I'm looking at, they're really based around the other person. The other person's doing this. How do I get their validation, or how do I get something from them? What instead you could do is give up and let go of the old meaning and give it up, and the power of giving away them the power. Realize you have the power. You have the power. And as you realize that, it changes a lot. Let's go back to this article real quick. So there's a couple other good ones this is a random article I found. So create spontaneity. So this is true too. Be spontaneous. Not be spontaneous, be something, but like push, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So don't be spontaneous because then you're going to be more attractive. Be spontaneous because as you're being spontaneous and you get into new environment and you get into new experiences, you're going to create magic for yourself. That's why you're spontaneous. Remember, we're not staying attached to the end result. We are doing it for that purpose. So a positive, fun, and optimistic attitude is one of them, which can be true for sure. However, when we talk about the manipulative side of things, there are some people that are not attracted to someone that is positive. They want toxicity. They want problems. I remember one of my first girlfriends, I was 18 years old. Yes, my first girlfriend was at 18 because I was 17 or 18 because I had the ex-step in my life till I was 15. And then after that, it took me a couple years to get on the market. But I remember my first girlfriend, we were together for a couple months. And then she's like, this is getting boring. And I was like, what? Huh? She's like, we haven't argued that much. She's like, I feel like we're supposed to argue or something. Like literally that was our conversation. It was like, well, I'm like, I don't know. Like, well, maybe you should stop doing, like it was this funny thing of trying to, and that relationship obviously didn't work out, but part of it may have been there is that addiction to the dopamine or the argument and stuff like that. But I always remember that because I always thought it was unique. It's like, oh, so maybe maybe that's actually attractive to argue. But really what it is when you're in your own masculine or feminine energy, there's a certain way you are. Like my girlfriend and I, there's certain things we butt heads on. Not a lot. We have a lot of things we get along with. We have very good communication. We were told this by an astrologer as well. I'm having Braca on, this astrologer that we got a reading from. And we both have in our communication house, I guess, which is Mercury. Our Mercuries are both in the 29th degree of Scorpio, which she says is extremely, extremely rare to have two people with the same communication degree and sign, which means we have very good communication, which is good, which I definitely agree with. There are certain things, though, that I've had to become aware of that I have to accept about the feminine. Now, one thing is I, in my masculine and being more masculine, having that as my core, I am very much on time for things. I am very much focused on getting things done. When I am talking, I get to the freaking point very quickly, normally, except for sometimes in YouTube videos because of watch time. Just kidding. But that's just how I am. And some of the things that triggers me sometimes about the feminine is like sometimes the feminine is very flowy. It doesn't necessarily, it says I'll be there in 5 minutes means I'll be there in what I perceive to be 5 minutes, which may actually be 25 minutes or more. I'm going to get this done. Like there's this timing thing. There's this flowy thing. Sometimes it's like the conversation is very emotional and I'm like, what are you trying to say here? This is the way the feminine works. But luckily we have strong sexual polarity. So I'm very grateful for it because that's the feminine and the masculine polarity. If I wanted somebody that was just very strong on business and we're just both agreeing and we're both showing up on time, there may not be that sexual polarity there. You see? So when it comes to this toxic energy or this type of energy, the fourth thing and the fourth way to manifest love from a high vibration is really leaning into your own masculine or feminine energy. Whatever side of the coin that is for you, we both have a little bit, I have a little bit of feminine energy, but with a masculine core. And it's about owning who you are and embodying that. So embody your own masculine or feminine energy by making the choice. One thing I do is, sometimes I work, like I'm in the middle of this launch right now for his full-time purpose course that we have, my buddy Victor and I. And it's a lot of energy. I'm going live I go live today later, when this is recorded, it's probably a different date, goes out live on YouTube, but going live a lot. But I'm realizing I need to have like a more feminine part of my day where I get a massage or I relax or take a little bath or a shower or something that gets me out of the grind, like the work mode of the masculine, So there is a balance here. But in general, one thing that I had to do to attract love and to be magnetic is I had to own my own frame. I had to own my own frame. And that meant be embodied, to be in the present moment. And the other part of this is realize this dynamic. You want to be the star of your own movie. Many of these questions I'm looking at here are all about looking at the star of a different movie and wanting to be a cameo in it. How can I get my ex back? How can I get them to like me? How can I get this? How can I get that? Focus on your own frame. You are the star of your own movie. And when you're the star of your own movie, you're leading in your life. You have a vision. You have a purpose. You're on a hero's journey. And what you want to do to really manifest love from a high vibration is to be on your passion, to be on your purpose. It changes everything when you do this, by the way. It is so powerful when you are living from your purpose and you are on your mission, which means as well that you might also have more boundaries. I know that when I started living my purpose, I started also having more boundaries. Like I'm making videos every day. I don't have time to go hang out with friends. I might have to say no more often, but guess what? That implies value. That implies value. So be the real you and be vulnerable. That's another huge part of this process, is really being vulnerable and willing to share. And vulnerable means that you're willing to share parts of yourself where maybe you could get rejected, but you're being vulnerable. You're having courage. It takes courage to be vulnerable. I was vulnerable with my sexual intent. I was vulnerable with also being honest with where my trauma was, what my story was, letting go of that. And the fifth way to manifest that I think is just so important to understand. And there's two aspects to this. The first side is you want to open your heart. I'll talk about that in a minute. The second side of this, realize that to attract love and to be magnetic, it might feel a little bit odd. I remember I had this girl that I was dating 6 years ago, a long time ago. And this girl that I was dating, she was like madly in love with me. And she was super nurturing and so sexually attracted to me. And it was very interesting because I had almost no desire to be with her. It was the most like crazy thing. I met her at the gym. We started dating and talking, but I would never make her my girlfriend. And I was like, I just would never date this. I would never take this person seriously. And the reason being is because it just didn't feel familiar to me. There was something about it that felt odd. Now, I look back and can see that that was just an unfamiliar energy with having somebody that actually likes me, which is really weird to say. But now in my relationship with my girlfriend who loves me and who is like very much emotionally available, who's very sexually attracted to me, I've had to open up my heart and become familiar and comfortable with someone loving me like that, and someone like having that kind of dynamic with me. So realize that maybe what feels familiar to you right now is some type of maybe toxic thing that's like somebody that's not choosing you, or somebody that's gaslighting you or talking to you a certain way. And maybe that's reminding you of childhood dynamics. So first off, when you open up your heart and when you go into this, it might feel a little bit weird at first, but also what you might find is that you end up becoming this completely new version of yourself. What I had to do is I had to open my heart. When I opened my heart and I made the choice, when I even started dating, which is a couple weeks before I met Heather, I was dating, and I remember I had to stop saying no to dates and to dating. Like I had so many rules and so many, like, you need to throw away that list. Doesn't mean you don't have standards, but it means you stop judging and you open up your heart. And I opened up my heart and I put myself out there and I became vulnerable, and that's when everything in my life began to change. And there is a deeper level to this, by the way, that is so important to understand, and it has to do with codependency and releasing shame. And when you do that, this is the main part of my story that has completely transformed my life. Everything in your life will change. You will let go of codependency. You will become more magnetic than ever before. It's one of my most popular videos and episodes that I've made. Watch this video right here. This video will change your life if you watch it and help make you more magnetic than ever. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you the cure to codependency, how to never be needy again. I'm going to share with you also my journey through this process, what I've learned about the inner child, how you can heal